To answer the use question, we must first think about the importance of history. For many centuries, dictators who have taken control of a country have changed history in their favor. The short course written by the Communist Party in Russia is a good example to show the myths that surrounded dictators, that were deliberately made by rewriting history. In this book, Stalin and Hitler were portrayed as men of high office, working hard as good shepherds, tenderly caring for their flocks, and vigilant against the wolves that could devour their sheep. This book was read by many and accepted by the Russian public as a historical text. Dictators were smart in realizing history brings societies together into a cohesive social identity. In the field of science, we have gained an important ethical understanding of practice, creating regulations for the study of biotechnology. By finding unethical patterns and issues of practice that happened even before World War II with the discovery of eugenics in the U.S. in the 20th century. As a result, there was a large meeting of scientists called a seminar, where rules of practice were debated and created. Following the history of immoral uses of science, historians and society put science into question, which then forced biologists to reflect on their practice and regulate themselves. The last example I will give is in math. There are many debates going around about how we should be teaching it. Many are trying to introduce a more historical approach, saying that this in turn will teach students a more well-rounded understanding of the problems presented to them. It is predicted that every student should be given a personal side to the subject they are studying. They should be told stories and shown pictures of great mathematicians that came before them for inspiration. And students should be taught the effect discoveries have on the progress of society. This critique on the educational system in math shows the important role history can play in inspiring and motivating students in other fields. So, as a quick recap, history creates social identities in politics, puts forth questions of practice in science, and helped change the educational system in mathematics. But these are only 3 examples where history was put into use. History is important to every field of learning. Every field uses historical context that they can learn and build from. Throughout this historiography class, we have posed questions of practice, but 2 things have stayed constant: the ability to change and the use of critical analysis, in not only text, but practice. The practice of history has been under attack by many other fields in terms of objectivity, regulation, and overall necessity, but we have always adapted to answer concerns that they might have. We acted to be more scientific, more philosophical, and more informative. Historians adapt the information we are given and output them in a cohesive, personal way. The skill of critical analysis that is unique to historians is very useful for other fields as well as history. This skill is another thing we have been able to adapt. We have modified ourselves into a scientific, objective practice to try and answer causation. It has been molded in terms of micro and macro histories, finding ways to find small causes or to look at the bigger picture. We have changed our practice to suit computer demands as well, thinking through issues of big data, finding practice to work with the change. Historians are resilient and are trained to look at everything we study and write, constantly being cautious of biases and boundaries we are restricting ourselves to. We are truth seekers, and the truth itself is vital if we are to create a social identity in history. History is a field of humanities, and humans are not perfect. We have individual identities that have come from past events. We have a national identity that our history has given us. And I, for one, would like my social and national identity to be a truthful one. The use question is one of great controversy, but we're surrounded by history in every aspect of life. We must reflect and remember to move forward.